Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Mark Jesinoski. This is the Wizard Podcast, episode 12. And it is Wednesday, January 22nd. Had a good week already. It's Wednesday night. I do private practice Monday through Wednesday. And just felt really inspired tonight. Usually I wouldn't come home and do this at night because I'm honestly too tired. But just had a really inspiring conversation, really inspiring last couple days with Allie, my wife. And I want to be thoughtful about, where we're at and where I'm at. But I am amazed that when we hang in there, and for anybody listening that's working on a struggle, when you hang in there, when you wake up every day and you hit the reset button and you just work on being really honest with yourself, work on listening to what your body's telling you, work on, listening to your anger, listening to your rage, listening to your sadness, listening to your powerlessness, and understanding the story that your body is telling you, understanding that wherever you feel negativity in your body, it's telling you a story. It's telling you where you learned something about pain. I think the natural state of being, the potential, the human potential, is to live in a state of love. To learn to love yourself. My Allie said something tonight that really stuck with me, something she's been reading. I think Don Miguel Ruiz, his name is. It's learning to love yourself like your life depended on it. And as she was saying that, I was reflecting on the last couple years of my life and was explaining to her, and I do this a lot with my clients, learning to speak to yourself, learning to close your eyes and speak to younger versions of yourself that have been through pain, looking back at your life and noticing moments of trauma, noticing those moments that you learned where you became attached to fear, where you started to tell a story that included fear and cynicism and the injuries that we acquire in our relationships with others in our life. And it may not even have meant to be injurious by people around us. Sometimes it's just the way that we internalize. And it's so amazing to me that, I guess you can tell I'm excited. I'm searching for my words. When you learn to love that self, when you learn to talk to yourself in a loving and kind and compassionate way, and you learn to close your eyes and to be there for yourself in your mind's eye, to use the power of your imagination to imagine speaking to yourself at a younger age from the perspective of a parent or from the perspective of a loving, kind adult, you can go back and you can heal through your story. You can learn to build a relationship with yourself, a sense of love with yourself, a sense of compassion for yourself. And we were talking about when you get to that place and you fully love yourself, you realize that self almost evaporates and you realize the illusion that it was. There's a beauty to it. It's not losing yourself, it's becoming and recognizing that you are a part of everything and all things. To me, that is God. God is the single consciousness that we are all a part of. We're all interconnected. And that place of love is there for us all if we're willing to heal through our pain, to grow through our pain, to grow through our trauma, to grow through our challenges. So I was so inspired by the conversation that her and I had tonight, and I'm happy to share that with all of you because I know that some of you have been concerned. And to me, in this place, the breakthrough for us isn't about attachment. It's not about regaining some sense of attachment or regaining some the identity that we had to work through in some ways to get to this place, to break through that sense of this is what we are, and this is what marriage is, and this is how it works, and these are the parameters that guide marriage. And to get to a place where you can experience in the moment a sense of genuine love, and that to learn that you can experience love with anybody at any place at any time if you're fully present with them. I'm shaking with excitement right now. Call it the Spirit. I feel the Spirit, man. I feel really, really full of love and inspiration right now. And that's why I'm sharing this. And we were talking about, I know I just mentioned it, but I wanted to go back to it. Just learning that your body is telling you the story that you need to know. The story that you need to unravel, the story of your pain. Anytime you feel a pulse in your body, you feel a reaction in your body, you feel a sense of fear, you sense a feeling of betrayal, a sense of resistance. You can learn to identify that pain in your body. You can literally pinpoint where it is. And you can recognize that anything that you have ever learned that is a thing of injury or a thing of pain is a learned thing. We learn injury. We learn pain. Sometimes we're born with some pain. We have generational trauma. We pass on trauma genetically. We think it expresses itself epigenetically, which is the expression of our genes. So you start to unravel that story that you have of your own life, your own ego, your own self, and you start to tell that story throughout the generations of your family, and you develop this wonderful, deep sense of love and compassion for your parents. And I realize some of you can't do that. I realize sometimes we've been so deeply injured by our caregivers, by those who are closest to us, that we can't grow through those injuries. Maybe we can forgive them, but we won't let them close because we can't trust them. And I get that. Sometimes some people have behaved in a way that we can't rekindle that trust with them. But we can develop a sense of empathy for them. You don't have to trust someone. You don't have to be a part of... You can set a boundary with people who aren't ready to have a loving, kind, reciprocal relationship, but that doesn't mean you can't empathize with them. So to empathize with your parents, to empathize with your grandparents, to empathize with the legacy that brought you where you are, and to realize that you can start unraveling this story by listening to your body, by listening to your thoughts, by observing how you're telling yourself a story in your life. We all tell ourselves a story, and we measure the present moment in the context of that story. We react to the moment. We respond to the moment. Our mind is telling us the way this moment is supposed to be, based on what we have attached ourselves to, based on the story of our memory and our learning. And we react to it, and we respond to it, and we perpetuate that story by how we respond. So our body learns to say if and then, like an algorithm. If I feel this, if I experience this, if I perceive these factors, I will react a certain way. So you walk into a certain room, a certain person walks in the room, and you react, and you feel that pulse in your body of negativity. That is injury speaking through you. That is a learned thing. If you can learn to listen to what your body is telling you objectively and compassionately, you can learn to unravel the story of your life, and you can learn that this thing that you believe is yourself is a perception of who you think you are, and that you are more than that. You transcend yourself. You're more than yourself. We are more than ourselves. And I don't think it's grandiose to think of, imagine an awakened culture of people. to see yourself in others, to see the divine in all beings and all life, to see the divine in all life and the divine within you that transcends yourself. So it was a beautiful moment, and it's a beautiful feeling. I feel love and inspiration in my body right now, and I wanted to share it with you. And you're probably wondering, why the hell am I carrying this big stick right now? The wizard has his staff. But really, I had this in the house, and I grabbed it because something I've been doing started as kind of a practice, but it just became I don't want everything to be a practice, because then it's, we have this like, oh, I got to go to the gym, and oh, I got to eat better food, and it's almost like we labor over these things we need to do to actually treat ourselves with, love and respect and kindness, to treat ourselves well. So I started doing this thing, and a while back, I don't know, a few months ago, I started asking myself, what did I used to do that made me really happy as a child? What made me really happy as a child? And I grew up on Deer Lake and near Battle Lake, Minnesota. And I grew up between the woods and a lake on a gravel road. And I would spend endless time in the woods. And when I'd spend time with my family, my cousins, my brother, whatever, we always spent time in the woods. We spent time on the lake. I'm so grateful for that part of my childhood, just exploring nature, being a part of nature. And I realized that we would get lost in creation. We would make teepees, and we would carve sticks, and we would make bows and arrows, and we would get lost for hours in this journey. We would get lost for hours in the experience. It was such a beautiful experience. So something I've been doing is, there's a beautiful hike nearby called Sandia Creek here in Fallbrook, California. And I take my girls there, and there's this beautiful wash that, when a big rainstorm comes, it washes out this valley. And there's just this wide swath of sand in the bed of this creek. And so I take them down there, and we make little forts, and we grab stones, and we crush acorns, and they just get lost in it. It's so fun. Better than any toy or any TV show they ever do or watch, they ever play with or watch. They just get lost in this experience. It's amazing. They don't want to leave. And I taught them how to carve, and this stick is a stick that I was carving on, a staff. I guess I started, my buddy Justin that I talk about sometime, we talk a lot about, this comes out of some of our learning. Joseph Campbell is a really good example. But learning how to turn your everyday experience into the sacred. How do you make deeper meaning out of your everyday experience? So for me, just sitting there carving on this stick that became a staff for me, it became a symbol for me, it became something. It was an object that represented playfulness and love and nature and strength. So this is just an example of me playing. This is an example of me learning how to play again and how to be again. And I hope all of you I know all of you out there, my good friends, my family, other people, my clients that are starting to listen, and I'm talking right to you. I hope you learn to play again. I hope you learn to let go of all the shoulds, all the problem solving. Let go of the problem solving part of your mind and learn to play again. Remember those things that you did that made you feel joyful and happy, and go do those things. Do them with your children. If you don't have children, remember to play in a way that is fulfilling to you. That's all. That's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Hope you have a really wonderful week. Much love to you all. Take care. This is Dr. Mark Jesinoski. This is the Wizard Podcast, episode 12. Good night, everybody.